Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with the one and only original Geeky.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about China and movies and censorship and Hollywood and the Department of Defense and maybe some UFOs.
It just got really weird really quickly.
Yeah.
No, actually, we're going to talk about what's going on, but it was funny because I was like, what? But actually, Kneon was like, oh, yeah, I knew all about that. So we're
going to talk about all this. So there is a push to stop China from censoring movies being introduced by Senator Ted Cruz, and it's been making the rounds in the news. We had your friend Sarah.
Sarah sent it over.
So
last night.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to cover it yet, but we're going to talk about that because this is coming up more and more lately as Hollywood seems more and more dependent on the Chinese box office. And now with everything going on in the world, we don't know how viable it is to be dependent on the Chinese box office.
I think you worded that wrong. It's not dependent. Hollywood has become a lapdog to the Chinese box office. Yeah,
there is that. I mean, so much so that South Park had an entire episode called Banned in China, which actually got banned in China.
Mm-hmm. Like that was their intent.
Yeah, so, and a lot of people are coming out now and being like, yeah, why is China dictating all of our content, all of our movies? Why is China getting to censor movies? I mean, we're seeing movies now being made specifically with the Chinese box office in mind,
which makes sense actually for Mulan.
Yeah, I mean, which I get that, but
the one Transformers movie, which one was it? Where it was pretty much in China for part of it.
I think it was the fourth one. I don't know. They're all the same.
It was like really.
Yeah, they made sure they brought in, and they kind of did it to some degree with Rogue One. They made sure they got a big Chinese star in there to come in. But I thought he was great. But again, for that appeal, and I get it because a lot of the money comes from China. You look at the Pirates of the Caribbean movies and the Transformers movies, and they're basically made for China at this point because America doesn't care. There's a lot of money at stake. So yeah, we get it. But what's going on is China now is basically able to censor movies over here, and this bill is being introduced by Ted Cruz to stop Hollywood from censoring movies for China. Don't know if it's going to get...
But the reasoning is weird. Plus the name. Okay, let's talk about the name for a minute. It shows it's the Squid King, and clearly they knew what they wanted to call it, and they were trying to make the words fit.
Yeah, it's called the Script Act. Stopping censorship, restoring integrity, and protecting talkies.
Protecting talkies.
Protecting talkies.
Talkies Act. That, I mean, really.
In Technicolor.
That's so funny.
Senator Ted Cruz will introduce legislation cutting off Defense Department assistance for U.S. movie studios.
Defense Department assistance.
We're going to talk about that. That permit China to censor their content. This Script Act would bar Hollywood studios from doing business with the Pentagon if they accommodate Chinese censors. Now, we're going to talk about that because the Pentagon does do business with Hollywood to get a lot of military movies, right? We're talking about Transformers. I know Michael Bay seems to be a bit of a military fetishist. Like he always has the military front and center in his movies, so there's that. So I don't think that would happen in another Transformers movie if they're censoring.
This is a problem.
It's common for major Hollywood films to work with the Pentagon in order to use Defense Department assets such as jets, tanks, or naval bases. Oh. You sunk my battleship.
Yeah.
Cruz,
I actually liked that movie.
Battleship wasn't bad.
I actually liked it.
Cruz's legislation would prohibit the Department of Defense from providing access to such assets to U.S. studios that censor its films for screening in the communist nation. I
think they'd be a little more concerned about the fact that they might be letting them on places and letting them use things that could actually show other countries what we got.
Yeah,
I think that would be a little more worrisome.
I think they're careful what they show.
I'm sure they are, but I'm just like accidentally or something,
Not so weird because the one company I worked for, they actually did work with, I think we've talked about it a little bit, but I used to deal with information company that worked with the Department of Defense. They worked with DNIX, they worked with Lockheed, and they used to actually have DOD people come into the servers, and they had their own people in the room, and so we didn't even have access to all the information they had on the servers that we were hosting the information on. It was very, very weird.
See, when Kneon's been all over the place, people worked for the government, was an editor for newspapers, worked as a journalist, ran websites, was on a different website that ran regulations for the government. We've been just all over the place.
Yeah.
Worked for Disney.
Yeah, so there's
it's just, we're everywhere.
Well, I'm just saying in this case, I know how picky they can be. Like, our own people weren't even allowed in. It was Lockheed, Lockheed, Dienix, and the Department of Defense, our own people weren't even allowed anywhere near those servers that they would come in. Now, we weren't really storing, I didn't think we were storing any sensitive information because it was basically dealing with their regulatory information, like really boring stuff.
Well, I was thinking about the other place you worked for where you had to build stuff, they were building stuff for some of these places. You did that one too.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me though, because one thing we haven't done is be accountants.
No, we've never been accountants. Everybody.
So, for those who don't understand the joke, Squid King got tired of telling people what we did and they didn't believe it. They didn't believe him. So he got tired of it and started saying we were accountants.
Yeah.
Because he got tired of people telling him he was a liar when he said different stuff we've done. And so he just said, my parents are accountants. So watch them try to hire us to be accountant. One thing we cannot do is be accountants.
No, I'm actually talking to an accountant now because it's complicated and I don't want to do it. So for too long, Hollywood has been complicit in China's censorship and propaganda in the name of bigger profits. This is Ted Cruz saying this, by the way.
You should have given him his own voice. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't do a good Ted Cruz. I don't think anybody does a good Ted Cruz.
I don't think Ted Cruz is a good Ted Cruz.
The Script Act will serve as a wake-up call by forcing Hollywood studios to choose between the assistance they need from the American government and the dollars they want from China.
Well, I think basically what's going on is a lot of countries, not just the United States, are trying to get out from under Chinese... I don't want to say control, but try to cut it off as much as they can cut off.
This is what, and look, I get, trying to create something marketable for a foreign audience. I completely get that because China is a huge market, market. But what is going on is that now those sensibilities are kind of creeping in over here. And look, there are some movies that just aren't going to play in China. Birds of Prey was never going to go to China.
And I can see if you took and made a, edited version, like they did with Deadpool or whatever, to run over there. But they're talking about changing it from the get-go here. Is that what they're talking about? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, this is where I'm trying to figure out exactly where the censorship is
I'm trying to understand
place.
It too, personally. This is weird.
This is coming from Ted Cruz. He said last year he slammed Paramount's decision to censor portions of the film Top Gun Maverick to appease the Chinese government, telling Washington Free Beacon at the time, Hollywood is afraid to stand up for free speech. Hollywood just sees dollar signs. They want the money.
Right. They don't care. They'll do whatever to get the money.
Yeah. Even throwing poor old Pooh Bear in jail.
That was so wrong. Don't watch that one if you like Winnie the Pooh.
Controversy mounted after fans noticed in a trailer for the remake that the jacket worn by Tom Cruise had been altered to remove two patches showing the Japanese and Taiwanese flags.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of it.
The patches appeared to be altered in an effort to adhere to the Chinese Communist Party's strict censorship guidelines and access the country's lucrative market. Top Gun is an American classic, and it's incredibly disappointing to see Hollywood elites appease the Chinese Communist Party.
You mean the same Hollywood elites that get up and stand up at award shows and go on and on about themselves and make their political statements and use it as their soapbox to talk about things like socialism? I don't see any of them giving up their money anytime soon.
Yeah, so here's the thing. We know this is a deal. Disney especially has been very guilty of trying to appease to a global box office. And I'm not going to fault them for that per se, because
there's a way you can do it that you can have an edited version that meets what they want over there, but they're talking about trying to make it that way here at the beginning is what I think is
basically design, and you can see this in movies clearly this movie was designed for Chinese audiences because there's certain things missing. Now I did pick up on this. People were like, oh, they gender swapped the Ancient One, and bravo. No, the reason they...
I remember you telling me about this. You told me about this a while ago.
This was years ago.
Yes.
And the reason they did it is because the Ancient One wasn't to be progressive. It actually was regressive because the Ancient One in the comics is a Tibetan monk. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what they did is they made the Tibetan monk a female Celtic warrior and gender swapped with Tilda Swinton. Now, I thought Tilda Swinton was very, very good.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton was very good.
And I actually would have loved to, if they're going to do a female doctor, I would have loved to have seen her play Doctor Who. I think she would have been amazing. But make no mistake, they weren't doing it to be, again, this shows that kind of that two-faced Hollywood. They weren't doing it to be progressive. They knew that having a Tibetan monk would offend China. It wouldn't get through in China, and they need the Chinese money, so...
This came right directly from the writers who put the characters in there.
Yeah. Yeah, the recasting came as the lesser of two evils. According to the director, who said he wanted to avoid Asian stereotypes, but according to one of the film's writers, there was also the fear of Chinese backlash for any connection to Tibetan sovereignty dispute, in which China asserts rule over Tibet.
Let's go back here too. They're now suddenly trying to make the character not Asian because they wanted to avoid Asian stereotypes. Says the same Hollywood that has to make Snake Eyes Asian because you can't be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed ninja.
It's a very selective.
It's selective when they want to cover up their agenda with,
Yeah. They said there's Disney. Disney's one of the biggest winners for China so far. This is last year. This is before the catastrophic events that have basically put the mouse in the poorhouse. So far this year, 2019, the proud owner of Marvel is sitting on more than $1 billion from the country's box office. Avengers Endgame made $600 million in China alone. Okay. Vital to its victory over Avatar.
Well, the whole thing with Avatar was ridiculous. They kept releasing it. Now, I understand they re-released Avatar too, but they re-released Avatar like a long time after the fact. They re-released Endgame like 2 months later just to try to make sure they beat Avatar. It was ridiculous. They owned both.
With very unfinished special effects.
Yeah, it was dumb.
I was like, go see it again with badly rendered PS2 Hulk. But yeah, they said, look, they'll take the hit. Sometimes Disney will take the hit on the bad press because they made $109 million in China. So yeah, this is what's going on here. So, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it like with Deadpool. They had to release the PG-13 version of it. So China wants our films, they want our money, but they also want to be able to
dictate everything about it.
Right. And so, and again, Disney, the reason they got so much backlash from South Park is because they are currently one of the biggest ball players, with China. They got two
let China
theme
play with
parks.
their balls all the time.
They do. They've got multiple theme parks overseas. We've got
China
Shanghai Disneyland
and Hong Kong Disneyland.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother issue. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, they like that money. The mouse likes the money. There's a lot of cheese over there.
Well, however, Hong Kong Disneyland has been able to reopen one of their character dining venues today.
One.
Yeah, and with social distancing. So they have the characters coming in and you can take pictures from your table, but that you don't have to touch the characters or have them come and hug you and stuff like that. But they opened it in one of their restaurants today.
Okay.
Or just like last day or two.
Well, okay, so we got to talk about this real quick. Maybe we'll talk about this more in a live stream, but Disney is selling its own face masks right now.
Well, I think they're sold out already.
Because to let people into the parks whenever they reopen, we don't know exactly when it's going to reopen. But they're not even what is it, N95?
No, they're just
cloth masks.
They're cloth masks and everybody else, but they're selling their own version of the masks. And I think they're sold out from what I'm hearing. I have to check. But we're taking bets. We're taking bets that they're going to sell them outside the parks. And if you want to go into the parks, you're going to have to buy their masks to make sure that everybody has the appropriate mask, the right face mask to be in the park.
Basically the one they make money on.
They might not. But we're thinking they're going to. They got 4-packs, and it's $20 for a 4-pack. But they're saying you can't wear them dirty, so you can't buy 1 pack for your family. And that's it. You have to buy multiple packs to make sure you have fresh masks every day, and that everybody has their own mask. And and at $20 a pop, it adds up really quick when you have to buy a couple packs per person.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for that. Or you had said you're waiting for them to do the special edition, hashtag masks or hashtag face masks, hashtag whatever.
Pink bubblegum millennium wine bomb mask.
Mask with the gloves. With the sides that were drinking action.
They'll do it for food and wine. They'll actually have some wine up to your lips. You'll have cartoon lips, Disney lips, like Ariel's lips with a wine glass.
Probably.
She's underage. She's 60.
Probably, but I'm just saying that they're gonna bank on this. They're gonna use it to try to offset their losses. I'm with you. I think they'll do it. I mean, it could be wrong, but it seems like something they would totally do.
That's the Disney way. Speaking of losses, The Rise of Skywalker bombed hard in China. China hates Star Wars. They do not like Disney Star Wars movies. They can't make them. They're even trying.
Isn't how sexist of them? They're just racist, sexist, misogynists over there.
They're racist. They don't like Rey. They don't like them. No, they hate these damn movies. But they were actually doing really well with their own movies over there. So, and I don't know, the theaters, didn't they open the theaters back up and they closed them?
They did, but I don't know what's going on with them now. I haven't honestly been checking.
I don't know. But here's the thing. If nothing else, right, even if it's just pure financial reasons, Hollywood can no longer depend on China. because we saw what happened. Like, I mean, they don't want your damn movies. We're seeing what's going on here. And two, like, you know, anything like this happens again, you can't bank on those movie theaters anymore. They shut them down.
Yeah.
You know? And I think what's going to happen is there's going to be more reliance on digital. At that point, it doesn't really freaking matter.
Well, at that point, couldn't they just release it? Worry about the, you know, back to the topic what we started at. Couldn't they just release a version here and a version there and use the patch like we saw with Cats?
There you go. You've got the Chinese version, which is the version that all of us have seen, and then you've got the American extended edition with more buttholes.
That's what I'm saying. Well, you know, I'm just saying. It's like I'm saying the cat. I wasn't saying Cats particularly. I'm talking about the patch like they did with Cats.
Well, no, they can do that.
Harley Quinn.
Well, they do that. Look at Deadpool. Deadpool had the R-rated version and PG-13 rated version. But I think it's going to become more and more obvious that, you know, the Chinese well is drying up. For Hollywood, they're not going to be able to bank on China.
Well, not if they get their way with this, but you know, a lot of people have money who will lose money from China if this goes through, and Disney has all those lawyers. So I'm thinking this is not going to go through anyway.
I don't think it's going to go.
But what surprised me was, which didn't surprise you, I was like, wait, the Department of Defense has been funding movies, like 800 some movies for years. I was like, whoa, what? And then, but you knew all about this apparently.
Yeah, so this is very curious.
He knows all this conspiracy theory stuff. Get your tinfoil hat, guys. Neon's going in.
Get your tinfoil mouse ears. So this came out in what, the 2020? Well, it actually came out before this. It was like April 28th. And then we had the Pentagon's releasing UFO videos.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So here's.
Did you watch the videos?
I did.
You did. I knew you would have. I have not seen them. I'm not. I knew you would. I have not watched them, but I knew. I was like, Neon's gonna watch these. He's gonna watch these.
Same thing that they've had.
Okay. All of them. He watches all of them.
Okay, so here's the tinfoil mouse ears.
Anybody knows Dan Aykroyd? Tell him to come over and talk to Neon.
I will gladly. I will happily. I would freaking love to sit down with Dan Aykroyd for an hour or two and just talk about this stuff. Because I've actually seen some stuff. I've seen some stuff in my life. You've seen some stuff.
I have too, to be fair and honest.
So,
I've seen some shit, man.
Yeah, so the Pentagon released these UFO videos for the record. Again, not saying they're alien. They're just unidentified flying objects.
They call it the unexplained aerial phenomena. Get it right.
Oh, that's right, because that's different than UFO.
They're UAPs.
So there has been a conspiracy theory going on for many years now that the Department of Defense, that the U.S. government, has been working with Hollywood to acclimate us to the idea of extraterrestrial life.
That would go back to the fact that we've been in touch with the extraterrestrials for years. You know.
Right, going back to the 40s. And the theory is that, like, Close Encounters of the Third Kind was basically a dramatic portrayal of an event, a very similar event that really happened, and they were trying to prepare people right down to the way the aliens looked for the possibility of there being some kind of disclosure.
Then we got E.T. and all that. What's their explanation for the Aliens films?
Well,
they weren't getting the government funding.
No. No, but there's been an increase in science fiction.
Independence Day?
Okay, so the aliens, maybe they need better PR people. Because E.T. and Close Encounters are fun.
Welcome to Earth.
Yeah, right. Maybe they had a falling out, and that's what happened. But that is a conspiracy theory that's been going on for a while. So when they said that the Department of Defense was going to cut off funding the movies that were pandering to Chinese audiences, I was immediately thinking, like, wow. Okay, I remember all this stuff about the crazy theories.
I was like, have you heard this? And then he's like, I'm like, of course you did. Of course you did.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is, again, tinfoil hat, you know,
he has a collection.
But it's very interesting that this happens the same week that they're releasing these UFO videos, and now they're like, we're not going to fund your movies anymore. I don't know. I mean, it's completely unrelated. I'm sure it's completely unrelated, but that was my first thought was, oh yeah, I remember that theory that the Department of Defense was basically telling Steven Spielberg what kind of movies to make.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's more to get it out there to people that they know that the Department of Defense is funding movies than it is that they're actually going to get this put through.
Yeah,
and
I don't...
Script Act, I mean, the talkies. Talkies.
It's just called Nope.
Call it Nope. What should that stand for?
I don't know. So, yeah, there we go, guys. I don't know. Again, this is not a law. This has not been passed. It's being introduced.
It's just an introduction.
The business I worked for in question, where I worked in and around the Department of Defense, right?
You know, people are going to listen to this and have background checks ran on you now from the Department of Defense. Anyway,
that business, we dealt with regulations. We dealt with all bills that went through. It was all government regulations. You would be absolutely shocked at how much stuff flies under the radar. You'd be shocked at how many bills are introduced every damn day.
Oh, I don't think people will be shocked anymore. And back then they would have been.
Yeah.
Like now everybody's watching it.
And
They sneak in at their late night voting meetings.
But we kept a record of all of it. We were basically the big database that would keep track of all the regulations and all the annotations that the government and other interests would make on those regulations. So as they were going through, there would be all kinds of like notes and stuff being taken by different parties, and some of it we had access to, and some of it we did not.
Now, see, I don't remember this because it was a long time ago. But when you worked there, they had to have a background check run on you.
I believe so.
Because I know I've had to have many background checks run, but that's not because of something bad. That's because I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
So in PA, it's ridiculous now to get to work as a teacher in PA. They have so many papers. You have to fill out like, every job you've ever had. They have to write them and tell them, yes, you're fine, because of all the stuff that happened with Penn State. So, with Sandusky.
Yeah.
So I kind of think they would have had to have a background check.
I'm sure I had a background
Whether
check.
you knew it or not, you had one probably.
Yeah. Now I did not
But
have.
were you probed?
No. I was not. I did not have security clearance. My boss, actually, he was former military. I am pretty sure he had security clearance because he dealt directly with these guys from like Lockheed and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, but the thing is, they should have given you clearance. You could keep a secret. My gosh, there was stuff going on that I didn't even find out about till later from other people. I'm like, wait, you knew about this? And he's like, yeah, I knew the whole time, but I wasn't allowed to tell you.
Yeah, there were some jobs I worked at where I wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed to tell spouses or anything.
And I was like, so he actually didn't tell me.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to lose a job or get sued. So yeah, I didn't. But yeah, in this case, it's like, yeah. Well, that's the thing, because when I was working this job, like, you know,
people are like, I don't care anymore. We've probably overstayed our welcome.
Yeah, we have. We're gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
So there you go, guys. Do you think that this bill's gonna fly? Do you think that we should cut the money off?
We should save the talkies.
You think we should save the talkies
From the probes?
from Mickey? We're gonna wrap it up.
We'll talk to you later.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.